Diminta kepada semua peserta sentiasa mematikan mikrofon untuk mengelakkan sebarang gangguan semasa majlis sedang berlangsung. Sementara itu, diminta para peserta untuk mengimbas kod pendaftaran yang telah dipaparkan di skrin anda. Webinar ini juga bersiaran langsung di YouTube, jadi sekiranya anda tidak dapat menyertai melalui platform Zoom, juga boleh menyertai webinar ini melalui channel YouTube Avenger Studio. Dan jangan lupa untuk follow Instagram Kitar Kain UiTM dan subscribe YouTube Avenger Studio untuk info-info yang menarik pada masa akan datang.
Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera. Diminta kepada semua peserta sentiasa mematikan mikrofon untuk mengelakkan sebarang gangguan semasa majlis sedang berlangsung. Sementara itu, diminta kita untuk mengimbas kod pendaftaran yang telah diberikan di sistem anda. Webinar ini juga bersiaran langsung di YouTube. Jadi, sekiranya ada yang tidak dapat menyertai melalui platform itu, anda juga boleh menyertai webinar ini melalui channel YouTube Avengers Studio. Dan jangan lupa untuk follow Instagram Kitar Kain UiTM dan subscribe YouTube Avengers Studio untuk info-info yang menarik pada masa yang akan datang. Terima kasih.
Peringatan diminta kepada semua peserta untuk sentiasa mematikan mikrofon untuk mengelakkan sebarang gangguan semasa majlis sedang berlangsung. Sementara itu, diminta para peserta untuk mengimbas kod pendaftaran yang telah dipaparkan di skrin anda. Webinar ini juga turut bersiaran langsung di YouTube, jadi sekiranya ada yang tidak dapat menyertai melalui platform Zoom, juga boleh menyertai webinar ini melalui channel YouTube Event Studio. Dan jangan lupa untuk follow Instagram Kitar, Kain UiTM dan subscribe YouTube Event Studio untuk info-info yang lebih menarik pada masa akan datang. Assalamualaikum dan selamat pagi diucapkan kepada para hadirin sekalian. Hello everyone, jutaan terima kasih kerana menyertai program webinar pada pagi ini yang bertajuk Mari Sembang Kitar Kain, Pengurusan Pembuangan Sisa Tekstil dan Fabrik.
Untuk pengetahuan semua, webinar ini dibawa sempena projek Kitar Kain oleh Orion Alpha, kolaborasi bersama Cloth Cares dan Pusat Hijau UiTM. Disokong oleh Universiti Teknologi Mara, UiTM dan Association Event Management Students AIMS. Tidak lupa juga kepada panel jemputan yang sudi bersama-sama dengan kita pada pagi ini, iaitu Cik Adelyn Ghwee.
Saya Amir Imran dan siapa di sana?
Orchid di sini.
Selaku moderator webinar anda yang akan sentiasa setia bersama-sama dengan anda pada pagi ini. Untuk pengetahuan anda semua lah kan, webinar hari ini kita bukan saja berlangsung di platform Zoom saja, tapi kita turut berlangsung di YouTube Avenger Studio. So korang bolehlah share kat kawan-kawan korang, share dekat family korang, okey? Okey, korang nak tahu tak satu benda menarik?
Nak tahu tak? Nak tahu tak? Kalau nak tahu, cuba komen nak.
Wow, cuba komen sikit dekat komen YouTube, dekat komen Zoom.
Wah, ramainya yang nak tahu ni.
Aktif semua pagi-pagi ni. Wow.
Aktifnya semua orang pagi ni. Mestilah aktif kan Amir? Diorang semua tengah berkobar-kobar nak tahu apa dia webinar kita ni. Misteri ni. Okey, perkara yang menarik adalah kami menyediakan hadiah istimewa kepada peserta yang aktif sepanjang program ini berlangsung.
Oh, tepuk sikit.
So, aktifkanlah
korang
diri
nak tak
anda.
hadiah?
Ya. Amir, saya rasa bukan saya seorang je yang nak tahu siapa Cik Adelyn ni. Semua orang pasti tertarik nak tahu juga kan?
Yes, saya yakin. Alright, okay. Dan untuk pengetahuan para peserta semua, Cik Adelyn Ghwee merupakan Eksekutif Pemasaran dan Komunikasi daripada Cloth Care. So, panel jemputan kita yang kedua pula, siapa Orchid?
Panel jemputan yang kedua kita adalah Cik Seri Mizani. Tetapi duka citanya kami ingin memaklumkan bahawa panel jemputan kita, Cik Seri Mizani, tidak dapat menyertai webinar kita pada hari ini kerana ada sebab-sebab yang tertentu.
Alright. So, okay. Korang jangan sedih, korang jangan stress sebab kita dah sediakan beberapa video yang diberikan oleh Cik Seri Mizani untuk menerangkan tentang isu berbangkit, iaitu isu yang kita bincangkan pengurusan pembuangan sisa tekstil dan juga fabrik. So, korang jangan kecewa, okay? Okey, dan untuk itu kita mainkan sedikit video penerangan dan juga pengenalan daripada Cik Seri Mizani. Dipersilakan.
Hello, nama saya Seri Mizani. I am a sustainability advocate and also a content creator. I know that I'm supposed to be one of the guest speaker for the event, but unfortunately something else came up and I am unable to join. But here I am giving you this pre-recorded session for you guys, and I really appreciate you guys for taking the time to hear me out and just listen to my thoughts and my stories. So let's get into it. A little history with me and clothes in general and fashion. Seri actually dari dulu lagi love clothes. I love buying clothes. I was a shopaholic before I was an advocate on sustainability. I love dressing up, as you can see. Since I was young, I have a thing with clothes. I remember I would get into arguments with my mom for buying too much clothes, and ironically, my mom was a researcher on air pollution. So I did grow up in a household where my mom ajar, like, you know, how to reduce things, how to recycle things, and how to reuse things, especially my clothes. But I did not understand that concept and why it is important to me personally until something changed my life back in 2019. So a little backstory. Back in 2019, I was a fashion student. I was studying fashion about 2 years back then. And one day, my friend called me up and said, "Hey Seri, boleh tak datang this like potential studio space for my friend ni?" And he said, "There's one big problem, but I want you to come and see because there's so much clothes." And he said, "I know you like clothes and I want you to take as much clothes as you want." And me being me at the time, I'm like, hell yeah, you know, like I love clothes. Why the hell not? Can I say that? I hope I can. So yeah, I remember going there without any expectation. I had zero expectation. But I remember the moment I came in, I was very overwhelmed. The moment I stepped in the studio, imagine your household, from your porch to your living room to your kitchen, you memang tak boleh nampak langsung the floor. There's literally like mountains and mountains of clothes that really overwhelms you. And to look back, I feel that is somewhat like you call it today climate anxiety. Why I say it's a climate, so case mind you, sorry, I need to cut it off, but why I said so sorry to cut it off, but why I said it felt like climate anxiety, because I remember a few days before I encountered that situation at the studio, out of curiosity, Seri rasa macam nak search up kita punya like baju punya lifespan, like how long will it last on the planet. And I found out it takes more than we can live untuk like this baju or the baju that you're wearing right now untuk mereput because of the material. And that, when I saw that, you know, that amount of clothes at the studio, it really overwhelmed me. And I knew that going back home and doing nothing was not an option. It felt wrong, especially after you know something. Naturally, you will feel bad if you just turn a blind eye, you know. So that's when I decided to utilize my social media, because I had a good amount of audience who enjoy and love to see what I do. I love to, you know, share about my books, about my lifestyle, and, you know, especially how I dress. So yeah, and that's when the time that I decided to take a leap of faith and pursue this full time. And mind you, before that, I had zero knowledge on sustainability, or just my awareness towards nature and my surroundings is not as right now, tak macam sekarang. So I'm learning as I go, and I was fortunate enough last year I get to work at one of the textile recycling company here in Malaysia. And yeah, I was very lucky because I'm able to learn and experience things on ground. As of now, I call myself a sustainability advocate because I believe since this is my 3rd year, I'm not limited to one thing. So I do focus on, you know, mental well-being. I do focus on, you know, doing on-ground things like doing cleanups, you know, and community gatherings. And yeah, but my core in this journey is definitely with clothes. So that's a bit about me. So what's the meaning of textile waste management? I will not go from A to Z because I feel Adelyn from Clothes Care will be well versed on that, and I'm just gonna give like a personal view and from my experience working at a textile recycling company, and from just what I see during, you know, my time there. And what I realized is that people will end up giving clothes that is not reusable or that can jual balik to, you know, like sending off to like other countries, or sending off to like giving over to like a secondhand store. And in this kind of situation is a no-no, because when you do that, you basically will make these clothes end up in the landfill. And I feel that is something that not a lot of people know, and now you guys know.
Alright, itu dia sedikit video pengenalan daripada panel jemputan kita, Cik Seri Mizani. Okey, so panel kita yang seterusnya pula, seperti semua sedia maklum, ialah Cik Adelyn, merupakan wakil dari syarikat Cloth Care Sdn Bhd.
Kejap Amir. Close cares? Close cares tu apa
Okey. Cloth Care ni adalah salah satu pihak yang bertanggungjawab untuk menguruskan isu lambakan sisa tekstil dan juga fabrik ni lah, okey.
Oh, macam tu. Baru faham. Baiklah. Agenda yang kita akan bincangkan pada pagi ini adalah isu yang masih bermaharajalela sehingga hari ini. Serta bagaimanakah isu ini akan memberikan kesan kepada manusia yang akan datang.
Saya yakinlah ramai di antara kita masih lagi tak sedar pasal isu ni sebab saya sendiri pun as a moderator nak betul-betul tahu pasal topik yang kita nak bincangkan ni. Baiklah, ada tak di antara korang ni nak tanya sikit, ada tak yang tahu tentang close care ni ataupun baru tahu tentang perkara ni hari ni? Cuba komen sikit, komen kat YouTube, komen kat Zoom.
Kita tengah tengok chat box ni. Tengok ada tak?
Nak tengok siapa yang aktif ni.
Wah, ada yang baru tahu. Your Akila. Oh, ramai yang baru tahu.
Wow. Tak rugilah korang join webinar ni. Korang akan tahu lagi banyak benda walau ni. Pagi ni, sorry.
Okey, nampaknya ada yang ramai yang baru tahu. Okey, pada yang belum tahu dan tertarik nak tahu, mari kita sama-sama mendengar pencerahan, pendedahan dan penyampaian tentang pengurusan pembuangan sisa tekstil dan fabrik dari Cik Adelyn sendiri. Tanpa melengahkan masa lagi, dengan rasa rendah diri, saya menjemput Cik Adelyn dari Cloth Cares untuk memperkenalkan serba sedikit tentang diri beliau dan Cloth Cares. Dipersilakan Cik Adelyn.
Alright, hi everyone, good morning, and thank you Orchid and also Army for introducing me. So yeah, I think since a lot of you are new to Cloth Cares, it'll be right for me to explain a bit more about the company and what we actually do. So Cloth Cares was established in 2013, but at that point, we were not recycling fabrics yet. So what happens was both the co-founders of Cloth Cares, which is Sarah and Susie, so they found out that, you know, a lot of our clothes are actually made from plastic, right? And then they found out that, you know, there was this new technology that was, could make clothes from recycled plastic bottles, right? So that was their business idea, and that was actually how cloth started. All right, we wanted to, you know, bring to the market clothes that were made out of sustainable materials. However, Malaysia was not ready yet. Malaysia is always like 10 years behind other countries. So yeah, Malaysia was not ready yet, and actually the company almost went bankrupt, but we sort of stumbled upon fabric recycling, and that is our partner for today. Right, we are in partnership with Lifeline Clothing Malaysia, which is our fabric recycling operator. And yeah, apparently Malaysian loves recycling, right? And that's how, you know, our company sort of got recognition by the community and the government today. So yeah, that is a bit of snapshot of Cloth Cares, right? And how we started. And if talking about me, you know, I was a student like you, right? And there were a lot of talks about sustainability, you know, environment and all that. So, you know, I was actually studying journalism, and I was like, okay, you know, I found this Cloth Cares company, right? So I really needed to know if what they say they were doing was actually like legit, right? It was not like some shady business, you know, it wasn't like, you know, I needed to find out what they actually do behind the scenes, right? So I wrote to them, and this was for an assignment, yeah. So yeah, I wrote to them, and they was like, yeah, you know, come over to our factory, you know, we would love to bring you around and stuff. So yeah, I visited the factory, and then, you know, they had the manager of the factory like walk through the whole process with me, and then I knew, like, okay, they are not lying, right? Like a lot of like companies, they have this thing called like greenwashing, right? But I knew that they were really genuine in what they were doing, and I was like, okay, you know, what they did was actually true, right? So I did an article about them, and you know, in the end, I got a good mark, and then I sent the article back to them. just to thank them. And they're like, yeah, we really love your article. And then like a few months down the line, while I was still a student, they say, hey, Adelyn, we really love your passion and for what we do, and yeah, we would like to employ you on board. And so yeah, as a student, I have been working with Cloth for 2 years, and when I graduated last year, that's when I came on board full time. So yeah, that's a bit of my history with Cloth, and the history of Cloth itself and how we came to be.
Thank you, Cik Adelyn. We are so happy that you are here with us today. Saya rasa ada je persoalan yang saya nak tuju kepada Cik Adelyn dan Cik Seri Mizani, tetapi saya akan tanyakan kepada Cik Seri Mizani terlebih dahulu ya. Okey, dari pandangan Cik Seri Mizani sendiri, apakah kesan lambakan fabrik dan tekstil kepada alam sekitar dari masa ke semasa? Silakan Cik Seri Mizani.
Apakah kesan lambakan fabric dan textile to our environment? There's a lot of pollution through textile. Like I said, it takes a lot of years, longer than we can live, for the clothes that we are wearing right now to decompose. So imagine tons and tons of clothes somewhere in this landfill, all the landfills in the world, right? It will release some sort of toxin and chemicals during the time of this decomposition to our air, and that will cause air pollution. And yes, it will affect the whole greenhouse emission to the world, but I feel it will affect more towards the community around them. As you see, I truly recommend to watch True Cost. It's a documentary on textile, or search out about Ghana, and there's another interesting documentary about the West Java River, where it used to be the most cleanest river in Indonesia, but after textile factories came to the community, where they released like pewarna out the river, it basically affected the whole community, their food, their health, because there's like sawah padi at the side, and they use this river water to to make them grow, and then they use water to cook, they use this water to mandi. So it's basically everything is, when it comes to the environment, when it comes to the world, I don't know if you know, but everything is interconnected. So yeah, I hope I answered that.
Alright, terima kasih Cik Seri Mizani atas penerangan yang cukup menarik itu sebentar tadi. Okey, so sekarang ni kita akan beralih kepada panel kita yang seterusnya, sebab saya rasa Cik Adelyn pasti ada punya pendapat dan juga penerangan yang tersendiri. So, dipersilakan Cik Adelyn.
Right, thank you. Yeah, I think I really agree with what Sri Mizani said, right? About how, it takes a long time for our clothes to decompose. So, like I mentioned before, a lot of our clothes these days, almost 60% of them are made from plastic, all right? So if you look at, just walk into any H&M store, right? Because they have already been, they have been tagging all of their clothes, and you can see the fabric composition of what your clothes are actually made up from, right? So for example, 20% cotton, then it could be 80% polyester or nylon or rayon, those kind of things. So, terms like polyester, nylon, rayon, spandex, right? A lot of these are actually made from plastic, all right? So yeah, it'll be a fun experiment for you to actually know what your clothes are being made out of. And so obviously, depending on the fabric composition, right, it takes 20 to 200 years to actually decompose your clothes, right? So, if let's say you have a cotton t-shirt, then maybe it'll be shorter time, right? For let's say 20 years. But, if yours is completely made out of polyester itself, then obviously it's going to take at least 200 years for your clothes to actually decompose. So yeah, and Malaysia relies a lot on landfills, right? That is our one of our main, waste management, waste management ways, right? So yeah, and Malaysia alone, we have already closed 150 landfills due to an overflow of waste itself. So that is why, Cloth is on a mission to sort of divert, fabrics away from our landfills. And so talking about government statistics, right? So fabrics actually takes up about 3.1% of the waste in the landfills. So I know like 3.1, like not really much, right? But actually every single effort counts, right? Just fun fact, in talking about waste management, number one is food waste in Malaysia. We love our food, all of us Malaysians love our food, but we also love to throw food away. I don't know why, but yeah, that's just a fun fact. And yeah, compared to like fabrics, of course, fabrics is only 3.1%, but yeah, like I said, every effort counts, especially because when we throw our clothes into the landfills, what happens is when it decomposes, right, methane gas gets released into the atmosphere. And so we all know like methane is one of the causes that contributes to climate change. That's why we get our floodings, our the rise in temperature and all that. So yeah, that's my answer.
Wow, that is so interesting. Terima kasih Cik Adelyn. Betul tu apa yang Cik Adelyn cakap. Mari kita bersama-sama menjaga alam sekitar kita untuk generasi yang akan datang. Betul tak? Tak naklah nanti kita tinggalkan legasi kemusnahan alam sekitar kepada generasi kita yang akan datang kelak. Okey, nampaknya macam kita nak kasih soalan. Ada tak soalan daripada Zoom ke, daripada kita punya YouTube? Mari kita buka soalan pada para peserta kita. Mesti ada ramai yang nak tanya soalan ni.
Betul tu, jangan lepaskan peluang, okey?
Betul, sila buka mikrofon dan kamera anda. Jangan malu-malu.
Bukan senang ni nak tanya soalan dekat Miss Adelyn.
Hello, dengar ke?
Dengar.
Okay, hello. Okay, my name is Muhammad Nur Azizi Hafiz. I'm from BA236. Okay, okay, my question is bunyi dia macam ni. Okay, kalau kan dia ada mixture, macam mana? If some cloth has some mixture of material macam plastik, polyester kan. Lepas tu macam mana that kind of material boleh effect kepada environment? Okay, itu the first question. Okay, so saya akan tambah sikit soalan saya yang pertama tu. Lepas tu, macam mana prosesnya boleh terjadi macam the kind of material tu yang akan macam menyebabkan environment kita. Saya rasa soalan kedua saya sama juga macam yang pertama. Tapi the main question is how can that material effect to our environment? Thank you.
Alright, thank you so much for the question. Soalan yang cukup menarik untuk diajukan. Saya juga tertanya juga sebenarnya pasal soalan ni. Okay, so tanpa melengahkan masa, dipersilakan Cik Adelyn untuk menjawab soalan tersebut.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Azizi, for the question. Yeah, like I mentioned, because plastic takes a long time to decompose, so we are actually filling up landfill space, as quickly as we wouldn't like, right? So, for example, if you actually look up online, you can see that the Atacama Desert in Chile, right, is a desert that has become like a global fast fashion dumping ground, right? So, because it takes such a long time to decompose our clothes, right? Humans are actually finding for any available space, even the desert, to sort of throw our clothes away. And like I mentioned, like previously, right, when our clothes gets thrown out, right? So even though it's made of plastic or whatever, like it releases all these chemicals into the air, right? So obviously cotton is a natural fiber, right? Obviously that decomposes naturally into the soil. It's good for the soil or whatnot, right? But then when you talk about plastic, right, it releases all these toxins in the air. And so like, yeah, that's why, it's bad for environment, and as well as when it seeps into the soil, right, it also affects our soil and our waterways, and all that. So yeah, I hope I answer your question.
Terima kasih Cik Adelyn atas pencerahan tersebut. Saya harap jawapan Cik Adelyn tadi menjawab jawapan Cik Azizi tadi ya. Alright. Saya rasa ada lagi yang ingin bertanyakan soalan kepada Cik Adelyn. Apa kata kita buka lagi soalan daripada peserta kita?
Jangan malu-malu, boleh buka mic.
Betul, buka mic, buka kamera ataupun boleh komen saja dekat chat box.
Nanti kita orang bacakan pun boleh.
Betul. Okey, tak apa. Jika begitu, saya yang sendiri akan bertanyakan kepada Cik Adelyn. Bagaimanakah pihak Cik Adelyn memberikan pendedahan yang
Macam tak ada soalan je. Korang ni jangan malu-malu guys. Jangan macam tu. Susah nak dapat peluang ambil Adelyn. Okay, tak apalah. Okay, kalau macam tu biar kita je lah moderator yang tanya soalan. Boleh tak?
boleh, mesti boleh.
Alright, kalau macam tu, tadi kita dah pergi dekat Cik Adelyn, betul tak? Okay, so sekarang ni kita nak go through balik dengan Miss Adelyn, Cik Seri Mizani. Okay, soalan daripada saya sendirilah kan. Bagaimanakah pihak Cik Seri Mizani untuk memberikan pendedahan yang meluas kepada masyarakat tentang sisa fabrik ni? So, is there any pencerahan pada Cik Seri Mizani? Mari kita saksikan.
What do I do to raise awareness on the situation? Spark conversation. If you have some sort of platform that you can use it. I'm fortunate enough that I built a community through my Instagram, so I put it to good use. But other than that, you can always spark conversation throughout the people that within your reach, your family or your friends, so yeah. And if you have that moment of curiosity, engage with it because that's what happened to me. I was just curious, to be honest. Few years ago, back in 2019, I was just curious to know, and over time, because of the curiosity, it made me want to educate myself and understand more what the hell is going on right now, right? So yeah, over time, you never know the people that you spark conversation with. You never know if you inspire them to become greener. You never know if you encourage them to be better for the surroundings and the planet. So yeah, that's my 2 cents for this question.
Alright, itu dia jawapan daripada Cik Seri Mizani. Betul tu, we need to encourage more people untuk go to achieve the sustainable fashion and also fabric textile waste management. Betul tak? Okay, itu penerangan daripada Cik Seri Mizani. Sekarang ni kita nak pergi pula kepada Cik Adelyn. Okay, untuk Cik Adelyn, apakah cara cloth cares atau dari Cik Adelyn sendiri dalam memberi pendedahan tentang sisa tekstil ini kepada masyarakat dan juga komuniti? Dipersilakan Cik Adelyn.
Right. Yeah, I think education is definitely key. That's why we have webinars like this, panel sessions like this, because we really want to create conversations, especially for the young people, who are leading, the next step towards, the next step of the future. So yeah, even I myself, right, I had no awareness of like sustainability, and I really didn't care because Seri Mizani, like I loved fashion, right? I was a total like H&M girl, from my head to my toes, my shirts, skirts, pants, shoes were all from H&M, right? Because H&M was cheap and I loved it. And yeah, but then, it just so happened that I was following this like YouTuber. His name is Jack Harris, and he's now now like an environmental advocate as well. So yeah, he started talking about environment, and I was like, hey, because I was a fan of his, I had to listen to what he said, and that's how I actually got interested into the environment, and that's how I started looking up documentaries, articles about it. And so yeah, I think conversations is really important, and just to have people share all of this on your own platforms, right? You never know who you might reach, right? It could be an auntie, it could be a friend, right? Or even like your classmates, your juniors or whatever. So yeah, spreading awareness through education, and actually informing them like, hey, a lot of our waste that we are creating is actually really bad for our environment. And with cloth as well, we realize that making recycling fun is like really important, because we don't want people to think of recycling as a chore, or as something that is difficult to do, right? So yeah, we try to make recycling easy, by putting bins where people could access them, because I mean, you are not going to travel like 20 km just to find a bin, to go and drop off your recyclables or your waste or whatever, right? So yeah, we try to put as many bins out there so that people actually find recycling easy and fun. That's why cloth, our whole branding is all about cute colors, trying to be fun, even our bin wraps, right? So we try to wrap our bins with like cute stickers and like bright colors, because we want people to actually take photos with the bins and actually promote them on their social media and all that, to encourage people to actually recycle. So yeah, that's from cloth.
Thank you, Cik Adelyn. Actually, the best thing about cloth cares is that I love is they make fabric recycling very, very fun. So, saya yakin mesti ada ramai lagi yang tak tahu bagaimana mengatasi masalah lebihan pakaian yang tak boleh dipakai di rumah. Yelah, kita ni kan mesti ada je lumbuhkan baju yang tak terpakai di rumah. Betul tak, Amir?
Betul tu. Orchid macam tu, Orchid.
Yelah, mesti yang banyak yang muat, yang dah buruk. Lala kita buang macam tu je. Okay.
Alright. Okay, kita tengok
soalan.
Tanya kan. Betul tu. Soalan dekat chat box ada banyak dah ni.
Wow. Okay, kita start satu. Soalan daripada YouTube kita. What's your opinion on big fashion brand recycling programs such as Uniqlo? Is it enough or just another greenwashing program? Kita tujukan kepada Miss Adelyn. Sila Miss Adelyn.
Right. Sensitive question. I mean, okay, I'm not going to name names. We're just going to keep it PNC. But I think it's really important to research what your brands are actually doing to the clothes. But personally, first and foremost, the all these big fast fashion brands, right? The most the most detrimental thing they can do to their environment is their system itself, right? Their clothing system itself. Like, how fast are they producing clothes? And literally globally every year billions of clothes are being produced, right? By fast fashion brands, or even just talking about the fast fashion industry itself. Billions of clothes are being produced every year, and how many of clothes can we actually wear, right, in a year? I mean, of course there are people who love fashion, but even then we are producing too much clothes than we can ever wear in a lifetime, right? So I think talking about their system itself, their business model, right, it's quite toxic, right? It's really bad for the environment. So actually when we talk about recycling, right, recycling should actually be the last step in this ecosystem, right? First, we need to actually rethink how we buy clothes, right? How we consume clothes, and actually reduce, right? After we think, we have to reduce our consumption of clothes, because that's we'll never be able to wear that much clothes in our lifetime, right? So, and that's why, you know, we are creating too much waste for us to actually recycle our way out of the problem. That's why you know, we really have to reduce our consumption of clothes first, and obviously recycle would be like, you know, the last resort. So, you know, when we talk about all these big fast fashion brands, not only that, right, even high-end brands, right? If you do your research, right, you can find on the internet that a lot of like high-end brands, right, they would rather burn their clothes rather, or you know, than to give it on sale, you know, sell it on sale, or you know, find other ways to manage their waste, because they want to make their clothing line exclusive, right? They don't want like other people, commoners like us, to wear what they can, you know, other people are paying thousands of ringgit for. So that's why, you know, they would rather burn their clothes. So I think to each their own. I know a lot of companies are, you know, trying to raise their effort to think about sustainability and actually loop sustainability into their business model. So I can't say for each fashion brand, but I suggest you to do your own research and make your own judgment, you know, because when we talk about sustainability as well, we don't want to always be pointing fingers, you know, oh, you're not doing enough, or, you know, you're not doing it the right way. You know, I feel like every effort still counts, you know, as long as you have sustainability in mind. And yeah, I think, yeah, you have to make your own judgment lah. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Alright, thank you so much Adelyn atas penerangan yang cukup menarik dan jelas. Thank you juga kepada Haikal Jafri yang tanyakan soalan di ruangan komen YouTube sebentar tadi. Okay, kita akan go on dengan lagi satu question sebelum kita rehat. Boleh tak Orchid?
Boleh, mesti boleh.
Alright. So soalan ni ditanya oleh Nur Hazira di ruangan komen Zoom. Adakah kesan sisa fabrik boleh mengakibatkan masalah kesihatan terhadap masyarakat? Dipersilakan Cik Adelyn untuk menjawab.
Saya pun nak tahu juga ni.
Yes, I would say yes. You know, mostly because of the decomposition of the fabrics. But actually, if you talk about like the life, what do you call it, the effects at the end is not that much compared to the effects before. Like, for example, actually in every stage of your clothing lifespan, right, you are actually contributing to the environment. Right, so when we talk about like production itself, right, we talk about, you know, even for your cotton, right, we use a lot of pesticides, right, a lot of you know, to make sure the crops, the cotton crops grow well, you know. And when we talk about, you know, even the you know, sewing stage, right, your denims, your leathers and all, they need to go through like a chemical process, the dyeing process. So, you know, the reason why your clothes are so cheap is because they have to cut costs somewhere, right? So it's either you know, they don't pay the workers who are, you know, making your clothes, right? Or even, you know, they are not putting in proper infrastructure in their factories to ensure that, you know, whatever waste that they are creating, whether it's your dyeing process, your water treatment process, you know, all of this, right? Because they want to make it cheap, right? And so because they don't have proper systems in place, they actually just throw, you know, their wastewater back into the environment. So when you look at your rivers, your seas, right, all of this gets, you know, all of these are actually filled with all these chemicals, right? So obviously it's going to be bad for not only our biodiversity, like our fishes or whatever, but also the, you know, like Sri Mizani said earlier, right? The people living around those areas are going to be badly affected because we are polluting their water source, right? So yeah, more so in, you know, the production stage, even the washing stage, right? Every time you wash your clothes, it's actually bad for the environment because, you know, like I mentioned, our clothes are made of plastic, and every time you wash your clothes, microplastics actually gets released into the water. So when, you know, it gets released into the water, the fishes eat the plastic and we eat the fish. So technically all the plastics are entering our bodies. So yeah, that's I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Cik Adelyn. Wah, banyak perkara yang hangat kita bincangkan sebentar tadi. Menarik sangat kan? Okey,
Betul.
so sebelum kita meneruskan topik yang seterusnya, apa kata kita rehat sekejap? Tapi kejap, tunggu kejap. Okey, jomlah kita ramai-ramai follow Instagram kita Kain, UiTM tau. Ada perkara yang lain yang menarik untuk peserta kita hari ini. Banyak betul misteri webinar kita hari ini.
Okey, misteri apa tu Orchid? Takutnya. Okey, dah. Relax. Okey, betul tu. Kita akan rehat dulu 10 minutes. Go and grab your snack, go and grab your drinks and also go and refresh yourself first. Nanti kita akan jumpa lagi 10 minutes after this, okay? See you guys later. Okay, reminder untuk korang semua peserta, jangan lupa scan QR code kehadiran yang dipaparkan di skrin anda kejap lagi, okay? See you later. Hello korang, so we are back. Ami harap korang semua stay sampai hujung webinar ni. Boleh tak? Boleh? Betul tak? Okay. So ingat tadi kita ada mention pasal misteri-misteri, betul tak? Okay, sekarang ni bukan cerita pasal misteri di Laila ke, misteri Nusantara ke, bukan. No. Kita cerita pasal hadiah misteri yang kita nak bagi kepada peserta yang aktif pada hari ni sebanyak 5 orang. Korang yang aktif buka kamera ke, tanya soalan ke, korang berpeluang untuk dapat hadiah misteri ni, okay? Baiklah, alright. Nampaknya tadi okay, kita dah receive beberapa soalan daripada peserta dekat YouTube Live, betul tak?
Ya,
Okay.
betul.
So, sebelum kita nak teruskan kepada topik yang slot kedua kita pula, kita nak bacakan terlebih dahulu soalan yang ditanya oleh peserta di ruangan komen YouTube Live. Okay, Cik Adelyn dah ready untuk jawab soalan? Okay. Alright, macam kita akan bacakan yang pertama. Okay, ada soalan di YouTube Live bertanya, bilakah cloth bin ditubuhkan? Bilakah cloth bin ditubuhkan? Silakan Cik Adelyn.
All right. Yeah, the company was formed in 2013, but then, like I mentioned, recycling only came later on. So our first cloth bin was actually in 2017, but we officially launched like the whole fabric recycling movement in like 2018. So it's been 3 years, around more than 3 years. And so at first, we were on the mission to achieve, to collect 2 million kg of unwanted like textile, from Malaysians. So it took us 3 years to achieve that target. Towards the end of 2021 last year, we actually achieved that. So now that we have achieved that, we are aiming to collect 2 million in a year, right? So together with Kitar, Kain, and all of you guys, I hope you guys actually dispose your waste properly, right? So you can help us achieve our target this year.
Alright, thank you so much Adelyn atas jawapan itu sebentar tadi. Baiklah, kita akan go on dengan soalan yang kedua pula daripada YouTube. Okay, soalan yang kedua, sekejap saya bacakan. Okay, kejap. Soalan kedua berbunyi daripada Syarizan Rafau Zaman. Apa jenis pollution yang disebabkan oleh sisa fabrik dan juga tekstil? Dipersilakan Cik Adelyn.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of types of pollution. Obviously, number one, water pollution is a huge issue because like I mentioned before, the dyeing process, the chemical treatment process and all that, right? It gets released back into the waterways. Another thing also because to produce your garments, it takes up a lot of water during the production stage, right? So we are using a lot of water, a lot of energy to actually produce your garments. So pollution, water pollution is number one, and then followed also by air pollution. Like I mentioned, all of these toxic chemicals get released back into the atmosphere, right? So those are the major, two of the major pollution I would say regarding textiles and clothing.
Alright, itu dia. Saya yakin mesti ada juga korang yang baru tahu pembuangan sisa fabrik ni pun boleh cemarkan alam sekitar, betul tak? Okay, so benda ni yang kita kena praktikkan dari sekarang. Ini yang kita belajar daripada webinar ni, betul tak? Okay, thank you so much Adelyn. Jadi, tanpa melengahkan masa lagi, kita akan teruskan lagi perbincangan topik kita pada hari ini tentang fast fashion ataupun fashion pantas. So, dan juga kita akan kupas berkenaan dengan sustainable fashion.
Fast fashion? Apa tu fast fashion? Boleh tak kalau kita nak minta Cik Adelyn untuk terangkan lagi sikit secara mendalam fast fashion tu apa dan sustainable fashion? Saya ni kurang arif sikit lah tentang perkara ni. Cik Adelyn?
Alright. Yeah, talking about fast fashion, obviously fast fashion means fashion that clothing, right, that is produced very fast, right? So if you notice a lot of brands out there, right, if you see a popular actress wearing this piece of clothing or fashion trends from the runway and all, right, a lot of these fast fashion brands are able to come out with the product itself ready in stores at least 2 weeks. 2 weeks after it is seen on the red carpet or seen in the movies or whatever it is. So that is fast fashion, right? How fast our garments are actually produced, and going back to H&M, right? we all know H&M is a fast fashion brand, because every 2 weeks, or not even every 2 weeks, sometimes every week when we go back to the store, you'll notice that there is always something new, right? So that is, fast fashion, right? That every new week, or whatever, right, we always see new clothes on in the stores. So when we talk about sustainable fashion, then obviously it's the opposite of fast fashion, right? Which is slow in consumption, slow in production, right? The seasonal offerings that they have is also lesser compared to fast fashion. And then we also have to talk about the quality and the fabric composition, right? So obviously fast fashion, because it's created in such a short time, the quality of the fabrics right, is not made to last as compared to sustainable fashion, right? So a lot of design thinking and process goes into sustainable fashion, where else in fast fashion they don't really care about the end product. They'll be like, okay, whatever they can maximize our profit, and whatever they can actually how much sales they can get as fast as they can, right? They'll just put it out there. So obviously, like, quality wise, when you compare to sustainable fashion, is obviously lower. And then when we talk about the materials used as well, right? So sustainable fashion uses a lot of materials that is better for the environment. So for example, even your cotton, right? When we talk about sustainable cotton, right, they have to have the certification of the BCI logo, right? So the Better Cotton Initiative, that is when they grow their cotton, right, it is through a sustainable way rather than the old conventional way where we use a lot of like pesticides and all that. So yeah, and sustainable fashion as well, upcoming years they've been exploring with bamboo, they're exploring with all sorts of natural fibers that when they decompose is actually a much easier process compared to using plastics or whatever. So talking about plastics as well, like right now, right, we have the technology to create new textiles out of recycled plastic bottles. So in that way, we are reducing the amount of pollution that of plastics being end up in our oceans as well, and trying to reuse them into to create something new. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Alright, thank you so much Miss Adelyn. Wah, betul tu. Kita sekarang ni kalau perasan, fashion sekarang ni memang dikejar trend. Kalau pasal majlis ke, status ke, musim, semua akan dikaitkan dengan pemakaian, dikaitkan dengan fashion dari masa ke semasa. Sebab sekarang ni kita kira fashion ni sebagai satu non-verbal social dalam komuniti dan juga masyarakat. Betul tak? So, Orchid sekarang dah faham fast fashion tu apa? Okay, kita dah dengar penjelasan daripada Cik Adelyn, betul tak? So sekarang ni macam biasa kita akan beralih kepada panel kita yang kedua pula. Bagaimana pula dengan Cik Seri Mizani? Dipersilakan Cik Seri Mizani.
Terangkan tentang fast fashion and sustainable fashion. So with fast fashion is that the really messed up part is that they make things very fast and they produce it in a mass production and with very low quality, and they sell it in a very, I would say, very cheap. It might not be cheap in our money, but in other countries it's very, very cheap. And how do they get to this point of making the clothes very cheap? Is by cutting down the labor cost to the people who are making the clothes. It's a very sad part of the fast fashion world, because these workers are not treated well. I highly recommend you to watch the True Cost documentary. I feel it will really open something in your mind. But yeah, and with mass production, even if you see H&M or like any other fast fashion brand who says they have like a conscious line where they use sustainable material, mind you, even if you use a sustainable material or better technology for the material, if you're mass producing, it's not sustainable, I would say. Sustainability is about sustaining what you already have. So coming to the other, from the question, which is terangkan what is sustainable fashion. So sustainable fashion for me is not about buying things that is made sustainably. For me personally, it's about sustaining what you already have. That's what I learned. Now I became from a shopaholic to now this year I feel I'm very proud of myself because I haven't bought anything and I've been swapping a lot with my friends. So another option of, you know, being sustainable in your clothes is sustaining what you already have and also swapping with your friends. And you know, if you want to invest a bit, then buying and support your local community. That's also part of sustainability. Sustainability is about think locally then act globally. So you have to support your community in order for our community or our country to thrive. So that is a concept of sustainability in general. It's not just about the environment, but it's also about supporting businesses, especially like community businesses, and also supporting your community. So yeah, it's called the 3 pillars of sustainability. Go check that out.
Oh, okay. Baru saya faham. That one is so interesting kan, swapping baju dengan kawan-kawan kita. Okay. Kalau macam tu, apa kata kita nak tujukan soalan kepada Cik Adelyn pula. Okey, soalannya berbunyi, apakah cara yang terbaik untuk menarik perhatian masyarakat untuk lebih cenderung ke arah sustainable fashion ni berbanding dengan fast fashion? Cik Adelyn, silakan.
Yeah, I think most importantly is just to raise awareness, because when we talk about like sustainable fashion, then obviously, we talk about buying secondhand clothes, pre-loved clothes, rather than, clothes from fast fashion brands and whatnot. And, Malaysia used to have this mindset that, buying, secondhand means it's kotor or like dirty or it's not hygienic, and that kind of thing. So, I think like awareness is very important because it's not necessarily true, right? A lot of the clothes, that we can get from like secondhand shops or like bundle shops or whatever, they're actually still very good. And okay lah, you know what, the clothes might be dirty, right? But you could wash it and it's good as new, right? So yeah, a lot of the clothes, especially that are made in the past as well, it's made to last. So it's actually long lasting. That's why, the clothes that you get, the dress might be 30 years old, right? But it could still be in very good quality. So yeah, I would say like, awareness is key. And we need to break that stereotype that, hey, buying pre-loved clothing or, supporting smaller brands doesn't mean that there is a cut in quality or there is a cut in fashion, right? You can still be as stylish, right? Even though you are wearing pre-loved clothing or, clothing made from sustainable brands that, might not be as popular as, fast fashion brands. But hey, we really need to break the stereotype that way. So yeah.
Alright, begitu caranya sangat berkesan. Okay, so betul tu. Dua kini sangat penting, which is awareness dan juga stereotype. Bukannya maksud kalau kita beli barang second hand tu tak boleh guna, tak bagus. Betul tak Cik Adelyn? So sekarang ni kita dah dapat maklumat tentang awareness dan juga stereotype. So tinggal untuk kita je praktikkan lepas ni, okay? Tapi sekarang kita dah dengar daripada Cik Adelyn. So tapi sekarang saya pula nak dengar cara bagaimana Cik Seri Mizani dalam menyelesaikan masalah ni. So silakan Cik Seri Mizani.
Explaining how we can attract people to go towards being more sustainable instead of buying from fast fashion. And I feel this market, for me personally, I feel this market is growing rapidly. I feel I've seen a lot of people going to like thrift stores just to buy for Raya and just buy for their everyday clothes. But I feel what I want to emphasize from this question is to buy mindfully, because even though if you buy like second-hand clothes or if you buy sustainably, but if you're buying in a large amount and you end up not wearing most of the things that you bought, so sama je sebenarnya. I'm talking based on my experience, because when I found out about thrifting, I'm like, hell yeah, like it's cheap, RM5, RM3, RM10, like I can just buy the whole store. I remember I came out with 2 big bags, and I think I only pakai like 10% of the clothes from those big bags. So, and the rest I just throw it away or donate it, but you never know if your clothes are actually donated. You'll never know if it ends up in a landfill too, So these kind of things that I feel that needs to be emphasized from this question. I feel the market is rapidly growing where people appreciate more or want to buy second-hand clothing even more, but I feel what we need to encourage is to buy mindfully.
Alright, itu dia penerangan daripada Cik Seri Mizani pula. Okay, so moderator dah tanya soalan. Sekarang giliran siapa pula, Orchid? Giliran para peserta pula, betul tak? Okay, so kita nak bacakan soalan yang telah peserta letakkan dekat ruangan chat Zoom. Okay, soalan dia berbunyi daripada Alin Syaira. How is fast fashion killing the earth? So ada penjelasan daripada Cik Adelyn, silakan.
Yeah, it's killing the earth in terms of like pollution, like I mentioned before, and also like taking up a lot of like landfill space. So in the end, like I also mentioned before, a lot of our waste is ending up in the landfills. And so, right, what if we run out of landfills? Obviously, it's going to affect our communities and the way that we are living in, right? So yeah, I think other ways it's killing the earth is as well as let's say our animals, right? Our animals are also going to be affected because when we talk about pollution, right, the fishes in the sea, they're going to consume all this like chemical and toxins. And then when we talk about, let's say some people even burn their clothes, right? Let's say that they think that's like the best way to dispose of their clothes or whatever. But yeah, when we burn the clothes as well, like I mentioned, like because our clothes are made from plastic, so when it's like the equivalent of burning plastics, right? So all of that gets released into the environment as well, and so it will affect our communities and even like the animals in the air. So yeah, when we talk about fast fashion, like we are producing too many clothes that then we can ever consume in our lifetime, right? So it's taking up space, it's polluting in terms of air and water. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Alright, thank you so much Miss Adelyn. Okay, so macam Miss Adelyn cakap tadi, kita tengok fashion sekarang ni dah makin berkembang pesat nowadays, and ramai orang looking forward to nak follow trend, nak betul-betul kejar fashion yang sekarang ni. Orchid macam itu juga ke, Orchid?
Betul, saya pun nak follow trend, tengok.
Perform.
Sebab fashion ni yang berlebihan sangat dari masa ke semasa sehingga terjadinya lambakan fashion yang banyak sangat pakaian kita yang tak terjual, betul tak?
Betul, okay. So, jadi persoalan yang kita tanya-tanya tadi lah kan, apa pandangan para panel hari ini terhadap keluaran fashion yang berlebihan yang disebabkan oleh perubahan fashion yang mengikut trend dan peredaran masa dari masa ke semasa ni? Adakah isu ini mengakibatkan masalah yang sedia ada, dan juga bagaimana pihak Puan Cik Adelyn dan juga Cik Seri Mizani mengatasi masalah ni? Dipersilakan, kita mulakan daripada Cik Seri Mizani terlebih dahulu.
Point of view on fast fashion, always coming out with collections and like just to keep up with the trend, I feel is something that is really sad to see, because fashion should be something that is like your second skin. It's something that should be a part of your identity. So keeping up with the trend is like not finding your true self. That's just my point of view and my personal experience, because like I said, I was a shopaholic. I always try to keep up with the trend. I need to be with a tribe, but you actually can thrive being just yourself and just dress for yourself and not dressing according to society. Yeah, so, and with fast fashion, right, with the lower quality material and with the cheap price, psychologically, when you buy cheap things, you won't appreciate as much. But when you reuse something that has been handed down or has been around for a few years, you will appreciate more. Just like how I'm wearing my mom's scarf. This is something that I will always sound like a broken record on my Instagram, because I always love telling about my mom's scarf because it has value to it. But with fast fashion, you know, you don't have that. And this is something that I always encourage my audience, is to always dress for yourself and don't dress for the trend.
Terima kasih atas penjelasan Cik Sri Mizani tadi. Ya, betul tu. Beli baju yang lebih berkualiti, yang tu lagi tahan lama. Okey, seperti biasa kita telah mendengar penjelasan Cik Sri Mizani. Sekarang bagaimana pula penjelasan Cik Adelyn? Sila Cik Adelyn.
All right. Yeah, I think, I totally agree with Sri Mizani. Like, we need to really be mindful about how we buy and how we consume clothes. And, when we talk about fast fashion as well, it's not only like the brands that we find in shopping malls, but even, things that you get from like Taobao or, Shopee, right? Even though they are like no brand, right? But, all those cheap clothes, you can find like search keywords like Korean fashion clothes or like whatever you want to follow your artists or whatever. So yeah, all of these are also considered fast fashion, right? So yeah, we really need to be mindful of our purchase, where we're buying from, who are we supporting, where who actually make our clothes and all that. So yeah, I think in terms of like the fast fashion industry, right, if there is no demand, there will not be a supply, right? So if we really need to start with ourselves, right? Rethink and reduce the way we consume our clothes, and then all these big brands will actually realize like, okay, hey, people are being more conscious and more aware of how our clothes are actually affecting the environment, then maybe they will have to relook at their business model. But as long as people are going to keep buying and, people are not going to change the way they consume clothes, all these fast fashion brands will not, is most likely not willing to change as well, because, we are giving them the money that they want, right? So yeah, awareness is important. The way we rethink and reduce our clothing consumption is also important. And yeah, start supporting more local brands, more sustainable brands, more or even try swapping clothes with your friends and all that. There are definitely many ways that you can still like fashion, still enjoy fashion without compromising the environment. So yeah.
Terima kasih Cik Adelyn. Okey, kita ada lagi satu soalan daripada peserta Zoom kita, dari Nur Umairah. Dia bertanya, are fabrics from recycled materials are more sustainable? Cik Adelyn?
Yes, definitely it is more sustainable because you are not using virgin materials to actually create new products, right? So when, for example, like your plastics, right? It's already a material that has been used, and so when you reuse it, it uses less water, less energy to actually produce the plastic like resins or plastic flakes to actually be made that is used to be made into textiles. So yeah, definitely it really cuts a lot of like processes to create the material needed to make your clothes. So yeah, in terms of sustainable clothes, right? So recycled materials is definitely much more cost effective and also energy effective, production effective, rather than fast fashion or fashion made from virgin materials. Yeah.
Okay, thank you Miss Adelyn. Okay, actually kita ada satu lagi soalan. Bagus betul lah kita punya webinar
Lah.
hari ini. Ya,
Betul tu.
peserta-peserta
Semua nak
kita
hadiah ni, okey.
betul-betul aktif. Semua nak kerja
Semua
hadiah
nak
ni.
hadiah.
Okay, daripada okay, AA. Wah, ada mystery number kat situ. AA. Okay, Miss Adelyn, is thrifting culture in our opinion sustainable or ethical?
Yeah, I think it's definitely more sustainable, but then again, right, we have to think about how much clothes are we buying in the first place. So whether it's thrifting or buying new clothes, right, the amount of clothes that you consume is really important. Like what Seri Mizani say, we need to really be mindful of how we actually look at clothes. So when you talk about like thrifting, obviously we have to cherish or sort of value what we already have, right? So for example, the most this is like one of my favorite quotes, right? The most sustainable product that we have is already the one that we have at home, right? So for example, like the whole Tak Nak Straw campaign, right? When we talk about like plastic straws and whatnot, yes, it's good that we are avoiding plastic straws, but then it comes another problem, right? So to avoid with the whole campaign, right, to that they refuse plastic straws, then there was a rise in selling metal straws. So metal straws is supposed to be like the more sustainable option, right? But how many of you actually bought metal straws but then left the straws at home, right? Because I know I did it, my friends did it, right? Where we were also semangat, to go on this like zero waste journey, where we think like buying more sustainable products is actually better for the environment. But then a lot of times, right, like for example, the metal straws, they get left at home or they are not being utilized as much, right? So yeah, in that sense, even if you buy metal straws and it's good for you, right, if you don't use it as much, or it's another waste, it's another problem of creating waste, right? Because we are not utilizing what we bought. So yeah, in terms with fashion as well, right? If we have clothes at home that we are not utilizing as much, right, and not using it as much as we need, and we keep buying clothes from thrift shops or from fast fashion brands or whatnot, that in itself is a problem. So yeah, it always goes back to mindful consumption.
Alright, thank you Miss Adelina. Betul tu. So korang kalau rasa baju korang kat rumah tu dah cukup banyak, jangan pergi thrifting ke apa ke. Sikit-sikit tak apa. Jangan bawa 2 beg besar keluar. No. Kita sekarang nak kejar sustainable fashion. Okay. So sekarang ni ada lagi satu soalan lah. Okay. Aktif betul diorang ni, semua nak kejar hadiah. Adakah Zulaika ni penerima hadiah yang seterusnya? Okay. So soalan dia macam ni Cik Adelyn. Why sustainable fashion is so important and how do I choose sustainable fashion for the better? Macam mana tu Cik Adelyn?
Yeah, obviously, this whole talk is about, sustainable fashion is obviously better for the environment. That's why, and, it's not only for ourselves, right? But it's for the people, who are making your garments, people who are making your clothes, right? All of this, when we start to shift towards more sustainable fashion, we are making a statement that, yes, we want better clothes, right, that are good for the environment, but not only environment, but for the people who are making our clothes. So a lot of like sustainable fashion takes into account, the people who are making our clothes, they make sure they are getting paid well, with good environment to work in and all that. And even like, talking about crop production as well, we are making sure that there is a sustainable practice in place for every stage of the clothing production all the way until it reaches the shelf, right? So yeah, in terms of how do you choose sustainable fashion, I say you have to do your research. So in Malaysia, obviously support more local brands that are made, that are made in Malaysia, that is also producing slow fashion. So for example, they're not like releasing collection like almost every month, right? So yeah, try to look for more local brands that are releasing collections in a much longer time period. And then also yeah, the easiest way is to opt for thrift shops or secondhand shops or bundle shops, right? Because we want to utilize good quality clothes that have already been made in the past and are still good to use. So yes, and yeah, that's how you can support sustainable fashion. And there are emerging brands out there as well who are doing like reworked pieces or upcycled pieces. So if you want to look unique, there are many brands out there, or many like local entrepreneurs or local seamstresses, or there's many like you can find on Instagram, right, who are taking like kimonos to make into really cute jackets, or or skirts or bags, that kind of thing. So yeah, when we support like all of this small business, not only does it contribute to society, but it's also better for the environment, and that's how you can support them. Yeah.
Alright, thank you so much Miss Adelyn. Okay, so kita ada lagi terima dua lagi soalan daripada YouTube. Okay, so saya bacakan yang pertama. Okay, yang pertama ni soalan dia berbunyi, pihak Cloth Cares buat apa terhadap pakaian yang terpakai?
Alright, yes. So when we talk about recycling, right? Obviously, number one, everyone was like, okay, when we recycle, we have to make sure, they give to like the marginalized community, right? We have to donate. And yes, we do that. But, even then, for example, when we had the flooding issue last year and even earlier this year, right, a lot of areas were affected by banjir, right, by the flood, and a lot of people were donating their clothes to the flood victims. But then we found out that okay lah, this is also Malaysian behavior. Like their pakaian buruk also you want to give to people to use. Which is like not right. And it's not only one person. We had many people who actually donated their pakaian buruk like to the people to the flood victims, which is like so it's really terrible in that sense. And there was no awareness, there was no proper education, because people think like, oh, marginalized community means, oh, I can give my seluar dalam, or I can give like my clothes that are old or stained or yellow, that kind of thing. So yeah, we are trying. So with Cloth Cares, we are trying to help people understand that, hey, yes, although donating clothes to people in need is one thing, right? There are so many other ways to manage your waste, your textile waste as well. For example, for like cotton t-shirts, we actually cut them up to be used as industrial wiping cloth. We also upcycle garments. So for example, right, baju kurung is very specific to Malaysia alone, right? No other country in the world wears baju kurung, right? So that is why we upcycle the baju kurung to like bags and all that, so that people will actually reuse them, that is made into new products. And then we also export our clothes to overseas, for example, third world countries like Papua New Guinea, to Africa, because these are countries that need the clothes. And yeah, those are just some of the things that we do. And then we also, last but not least, right, if the clothes cannot be recycled in any of the ways that we mentioned, what happens is we actually process them into engineered fuel. So you can look up the process online. It's basically burning the clothes to create energy, but it is done in a more like sustainable way. So yeah, there are many more ways that we can manage our textile waste, rather than just donating it or sending it to the landfills. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Okay, terima kasih Cik Adelyn. Okay, jangan lupa guys, selain daripada kita live streaming dari Zoom pagi ni, kita juga live streaming dari YouTube Avenger Studio. Okay, ada soalan kedua dari YouTube kita. Okay, how fast fashion impact our society? Miss Adelyn?
Okay. Yeah, like I mentioned before, talks about pollution again. And really, I think it talks about, it really makes a statement about our behavior, right? That we are greedy people, that, every single trend that comes up, that we need to have it, that kind of thing. So I think fast fashion is a reflection of ourselves, right? Like I mentioned before, if there's no supply, if there's no demand, there wouldn't be a supply. And as long as we keep buying clothes, that and we don't change our ways, we are telling the companies that, hey, we don't care about environment, and you should supply us with the trends and clothes that we need or want, but not necessarily have to have it, what I mean? So yeah, so in terms of fast fashion, obviously it pollutes, it creates too much waste, but really I feel like, the industry itself is a reflection of their clients, the customers, which is us. So we need to make a change, we need to make a statement, right, by rethinking, reducing, reusing, repurposing, and recycling.
Alright, thank you so much for the explanation, Miss Adelyn. Okay, so nampaknya, okay, dekat kita chat box ni ada orang nak tanya soalan lah. Dia nak buka mic.
Betul. Okay. Miss Safia, okay, dia ada question. Okay, apa kata Miss Safia buka kamera dan mic, boleh cakap nama dengan dari kelas apa?
Hi, Assalamualaikum.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Nur Safia binti Rosli. I am from Basilit, Helentus Basilit. So I have a question for today's. Does fast fashion is really bring our environment down? Are there any possible solution in the fast fashion industry to be better in future? That's my question. Can you?
Alright, thank you Safia. So dipersilakan Cik Adelyn untuk berikan penerangan.
Yeah, thank you, Safia, for your question. So yeah, we really need to demand from the companies that make our clothes to really be honest about their sustainability efforts. So obviously now there's greenwashing and everything. So when we talk about big companies like them wanting to go to the sustainable route, they need to be honest about their whole process, right? From the way they produce their clothes to where or which materials, and how the materials are being produced itself. So I know some companies have tried that, but then again, it also comes back to their business model. They need to relook at their business model and how sustainable it is. So, like I mentioned before, even if they are producing fast fashion, even if they are producing sustainable clothes made from sustainable materials or whatnot, even if they are doing that, but they are producing new clothes every week, that doesn't really change anything, right? So yeah, I think in that sense, we really need to demand from the companies, that we deserve better, whether it's in terms of information relating to our clothes or, just the whole process of how our clothes are being produced. So yes, I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, terima kasih Cik Adelyn. Okay, saya harap jawapan Cik Adelyn tadi dah menepati jawab soalan tadi. Okay. Wah, nampaknya ramai yang interested dalam the impact of fast fashion ni kan. Harap-harap kita punya peserta ni ramai yang bertukar dari fast fashion ke sustainable fashion. Betul tak?
Fashion.
Yes. Okay. So next soalan kita ada dari YouTube. Okay, saya bacakan.
Wow.
YouTube Ahmad Amirul Afiq. Apakah contoh barang yang dibuat oleh pihak cloth cares? Okey, dia nak tahu barang-barang yang cloth cares buat.
Saya pun nak tahu, okay.
Yeah, so I think with cloth care, so we work with corporate companies, right? So we actually get like good donated like denims from brands. I won't mention who, but like brands that produce denim, they actually send a lot of their old stock like to us to be made into new products, because we want to repurpose this good quality clothing. So yeah, Clothcast has a brand called Woven Up, where we employ like B40 women, especially single ladies, single mothers, right, who have to work for their family. And yeah, we get them to sew merchandises, like bags, and also like laptop sleeves, and all that. So those are some of the things that we do. But for example, even for like corporate t-shirts, right? One of the projects that we did with Coca-Cola, right, was they had a lot of like their old uniforms, right? Coca-Cola uniforms, which is like red in color. So they wanted to do something with their t-shirts rather than just like, disposing them or recycling them. So what happens is we did a project together where we made face masks out of the t-shirts, their old corporate t-shirts that they didn't want anymore. So yeah, the face mask was really cute. It had like their Coca-Cola logo on it. And so then this was then, redistributed back to their employees who would use their face mask. So yeah, in terms of like upcycling, those are some of the projects that we do with clients. And so we are trying, Clothcast, we are trying to find different ways, creative ways on how we can sort of prolong the lifespan of the fabric rather than, just like reselling or whatever.
Okay, thank you Cik Adelyn. Okay, nampaknya banyak sangat benda yang kita bincangkan pada hari ini, betul tak? Dan saya pasti ramai pun yang banyak dapat maklumat baru yang lebih mendalam tentang topik yang kita bincangkan pada hari ini.
Betul tu. Alright, so sebelum kita tutup our webinar for today kan, okay kan? So untuk Miss Adelyn sendiri, boleh tak bagi sedikit ucapan akhir or nak create awareness for us to support sustainable things such as fabric, plastic or more? Dipersilakan Cik Adelyn.
Alright, yeah, I think, not only fabric, but like whatever material, right? Whether it's food, whether it's paper, aluminium or plastic, right? I think it's really good that we follow like the 5 R's. So this is the pillar of Clothcast. So first is to rethink, right? Again, rethink the way we consume our products, to reduce, right? To reuse, right? Reuse whatever we have rather than buying new ones, right? To repurpose. So even if your product, right, is still good and maybe like you don't want it anymore, try to find ways to sort of repurpose the product into new items that you can use, right? And then lastly, obviously, is to recycle, because we don't want to let our waste end up in the landfills. So yeah, just a fun fact, about 80% of our clothes that are being thrown out in the landfills are still reusable. So that's why, we want to make sure we are channeling all of our waste into the proper movements, in the proper like initiatives, so that we know like all these waste, right, that can still be reused and recycled are being done in a proper process, so that we can actually extend the lifespan of what we have. So yes, I hope you guys can continue to support us, Clothcast, for what other movement or initiatives that we have coming up. So we have like our Clothcast bin as well, across like Selangor, across like Wilayah Persekutuan, Johor, Melaka, as well as Negeri Sembilan. So yes, please keep supporting us. If you have relatives or friends, I encourage you guys to get them to recycle their clothes, right? So we really need to break away from the mindset where our clothes should only be donated. But recycling is more than that. It's more than just giving donations, right? It's actually using creative ways to really extend the lifespan of our fabrics. So yeah, continue to support us. Shout us out on social media. If you ever find a Clothcast bin, you can take a photo of it, of you recycling with us, and we'll definitely like re-upload them on Instagram. And yeah, thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much, Miss Adelyn. Okay. Sebelum kita teruskan, actually kita dapat last minute question lah, Orchid. Dia tak nak lepaskan peluang betul ni. Kita dapat daripada YouTube. Atira Yasmin. Soalan dia untuk Miss Adelyn. Last question, one question. Can cloth carriers pick up our clothes if too many from us, or we have to send the clothes by ourselves to the bin?
All right, really good question. So it is preferred that you send your clothes yourself to the bin, and we have like big bins, that can accumulate a lot more clothes. So that is my suggestion. But for example, like you have at least like 200 kg of clothes, right, that you have to dispose of, then obviously then you can contact us, right? Just write to our email ask@cloth.com.my, and then we can arrange for collection. But if it's anything less than like 200 kg, we would suggest you to just find any of our cloth bins, or we also have a address. You can find our factory address, right, and you can send it over to the factory yourself. So yeah.
Okey, kepada Cik Atira Yasmin tadi, actually projek kita kain kita akan membuat satu cloth bin. Kita akan ada satu cloth bin dekat UiTM Puncak Alam. So, jika nak tahu ada bila atau di mana, boleh terus follow Instagram Kitar Kain UiTM kita. Okey? Okey. So, tak lupa juga kepada panel kita yang kedua, iaitu Cik Seri Mizani. Okay, play the video.
I'm gonna give a little speech before I go. I just want to say that the concept of sustainability is not just about the planet. It's not just about the trees. It could be about yourself. It could be the things around you. It could be about your mind. It could be about your heart and how you sustain your mental well-being and how you it could be anything, or like how you sustain financially or whatever. So I like to say that if you, how do I say? There's a lot of different strength and different perspective to be part of the environmental movement. So do according to your pace. Do not try to do everything all at once, because I did that and it only made my climate anxiety like up here and it didn't bring me nowhere. But focus on one thing and always continue to educate yourself and be curious with your surroundings. And over time, you'll be surprised how rewarding it feels and how there's some sort of like self-satisfaction in you that makes you want to do more and become more greener for your environment and your surroundings and the people around you. So that's the last of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sri Mizani. Okey, sekian kata-kata akhir dan nasihat daripada kedua-dua panel kita. Okey, nampaknya masa pun telah mencemburui kita dan banyak benda yang kita dah cover pada pagi ni. Betul tak, Amir? Amir, are you there?
Oops, excited sangat sampai lupa nak buka mic, okay?
Alamak.
Okay, betul, okay. Kita moderator pun belajar banyak sangat benda baru hari ini, and I sure yang hadir hari ni pun semua mesti belajar banyak sangat benda baru. So sebelum kita nak akhirkan kita punya program webinar pagi ni, diminta semua peserta untuk turn on korang punya kamera untuk sesi fotografi bersama dengan kita punya panel jemputan istimewa kita sebagai kenang-kenangan. I tahu semua pagi ni semua handsome, semua cute, semua cantik, semua buka kamera, jangan malu, jangan segan, okay?
Favorite session I ni, Amir. Okay.
Well, agak dah. Okay. Semua smile.
Smile.
Okay, done? Are we done? Gambar okay semua? Semua lawa-lawa, okay, handsome semua.
Okay.
Alright, thank you so
Alright.
much.
Okey,
Okay.
sedikit maklumat tambahan kepada para peserta. Pada 22 Mei ini, kita akan mengadakan semula program Mari Berganti Kain yang bertempat di Cafe Rafflesia, UiTM Puncak Alam kita ni. Okey, Mari Berganti Kain adalah satu program yang menukar pakaian kita yang tak pakai kepada pakaian lain yang kita sediakan sendiri. So, banyak baju-baju yang cantik, barangan-barangan yang menarik di hari tersebut. Hanya perlu membawa apa-apa barangan yang berasaskan fabrik. Okey, terma dan syarat dia nak tahu di mana? Di Instagram Kitar Kain. Okey, tapi takkanlah you guys nak bawa satu je barang fabrik,
Betul tu.
tak? Bawa lah lebih. Mesti banyak pakaian yang tak terpakai dekat rumah tu. Okey. Yang penting program ini kita menggunakan konsep cashless. Okey, tiada wang yang digunakan. Yes. For the first time mana
Kiranya
ada.
macam kalau I ada baju tak muat, lepas tu I nak tukarkan kepada benda baru, so I tak perlu bayar baju I apa lah.
Yes. Banyak baju kita yang cantik-cantik lagi.
Wow.
I ni terkejut tau, because tak pernah lah ada satu projek yang kita tak nak duit diorang, okay? So,
Betul.
mari kita berganti kain. Kami tidak memerlukan duit anda, tapi kami cuma perlukan barang fabrik anda. Jumpa di sana. Okay. Saya dan Amir mewakili seluruh pihak penganjur ingin mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada anda semua, terutama panel kami Cik Adelyn, yang sudi meluangkan masa bersama-sama kita untuk webinar pada pagi ini. Dan kami juga menyusun 10 jari ingin memohon maaf jika terdapat apa-apa kekurangan sepanjang webinar ini berlangsung.
Alright, diingatkan anda semua untuk tidak lupa mengisi borang kehadiran dan juga borang maklum balas. Okay, korang semua jangan lupa go and follow Instagram Kitar Kain UiTM at Kitar Kain UiTM, Instagram Cik Seri Mizani, Seri at Seri Mizani, Instagram Clothes Cares at Clothes Circularity, and Pusat Hijau UiTM, UiTM Green Center. Dan jangan lupa subscribe Event Studio di YouTube, okay? Baiklah, sekian sahaja daripada kami sebagai moderator yang setia bersama dengan anda dari pagi tadi. Saya Amir Ibran dan rakan moderator saya di sana siapa?
Saya Orchid. Okey,
Terima kasih.
Ada sedikit reminder dekat sini ya. Aktif partisipan dari kita punya YouTube, Atirah Yasmin dan juga Syahrizan, boleh DM Kitar Kain kita sebab ada misteri yang kita nak kasih ya. Alright, macam dah tahu dah siapa yang dua yang menang tu. Okay. Thank you so much. Kita jumpa lagi. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Jumpa lagi. Jangan lupa support Kitar Kain UiTM, okay?
Alright, thank you.
Hai kepada yang sudah mengimbas QR code untuk kehadiran dan juga maklum balas. Anda boleh meningkatkan Zoom. Terima kasih.
It's beautiful, it's bittersweet. You're like a broken home to me. I take a shot of memories and black out like an empty street. I fill my days with the way you walk and fill my nights with broken dreams. I make up lies inside my head like one day you'll come back to me. Now I'm not holding on, not holding on. I'm just afraid to show gone. Not holding on, not holding on. Beautiful mistakes I make inside my head. She's naked in my bed, and I will lie awake, making beautiful mistakes. I wouldn't take them back. I'm in love with the past, and I will lie awake, making beautiful mistakes. Na na na, in my head. Na na na, in my bed. Na na na, making beautiful. It's pitiful. I can't believe how every day gets worse for me. I take a break, I cut you off to keep myself from looking soft. I fill my nights with the way you was and still wake up with broken dreams. I make these lies inside my head feel like they're my reality. Now I'm not holding on, not holding on. I'm just depressed to show up gone. Not holding on, not holding on. Beautiful mistakes I make inside my head. She's naked in my bed, and I will lie awake, making beautiful mistakes. I wouldn't take them back. I'm in love with the past, and I will lie awake, making beautiful mistakes. Na na na, in my head. Na na na, in my bed. Na na na, making beautiful mistakes.
You did me wrong cause I let you. Usually I like my situations beneficial. Doing something different, got me looking stupid. The only way I'm coming back to you is if you're dreaming. Lucid, prove it. If you made a promise, then keep it. Why you wanna lie and then get mad? I don't believe it. But really, I was doing just fine without you. Looking fine, sipping wine, dancing no club couches. Baby, why you wanna lose me like you don't need me? Like I don't block you and you still try to reach me. How you figure out how to call me from the TV? You running out of chances and this time I mean it. Yeah, bet you miss my love all in your bed. Now you're stressing out, pulling your hair, smelling your pillows and wishing I was there. Sliding down the shower wall, looking sad. I know it's hard to let go, I'm the best. Best you ever had and best you gon' get. And if we break up, I don't wanna be friends. You talk to me.